I am Napoleon Bell, and I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. We come together tonight to celebrate the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., still working. This is also the 20th year of the City of Columbus hosting the march and program. And we also appreciate the partnership we have had with the Franklin County Commissioners on this beautiful venue for so many years. This past weekend, we held our annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Oratorical contest. And if you missed it, we wanted to make sure that you were able to see a couple of our incredible young people give their oration. So our first young orator is no stranger to the contest, MCKENNA HENSLEY. She is 13 years old in the 8th grade at Arts Impact Middle School. She looks forward to a career as a neurologist. Put your hands together for MCKENNA HENSLEY.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is MCKENNA HENSLEY. I'm a 13-year-old 8th grader, and I currently attend Arts Impact Middle School. The topic of my oration is building a loving, nonviolent community. I remember like yesterday. After my dad would clean the room, he would run the sweeper, polish the furniture, and put everything in its place. As soon as he was done, I would enter the room and pull everything out on the floor from the bottom of my toy box, making sure to retrieve my bucket of blocks. After dumping out all the blocks, I would carefully build a tall tower and then run all the way to the back of the room. From there, I would run as fast as I could to the tower and knock it over. I made a mess. Daddy said he was going to call FEMA on me. When it comes to building a loving community, the chaos around us seems to work like a toddler cleaning out a toy box, putting everything on the ground, building tall buildings, and then somebody values knocking everything over, leaving those of us responsible to call emergency services. For these reasons, it is crucial on our part to honor the love ethic of Dr. King's idea of building a loving, nonviolent community. We must build on the ideas of devotion, respect, trust, grit, and determination, and a refusal to be victimized. To build our loving, nonviolent community, we must acknowledge Dr. King's example in these areas: the capacity for forgiveness, attention to detail, and reconciliation. Using the innocence of a child, no matter the race, religion, creed, or color, we can speed up the day to embrace King's vision of a beloved community. We are somehow connected in this way. King is right. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. What affects one directly affects all others indirectly. When it comes to building our loving, nonviolent community, the politics of a dog would seem to serve us well. I play with a dog named Gabby. Gabby's a mix between a Maltese and a Yorkie. Her appearance is so cute and innocent. Gabby can seemingly do no wrong, even though she's not so innocent. Especially when she stands on her hind legs and eats food out of a plate when someone has their back turned, or when she has her accidents on the carpet. She still does not want to disappoint. My point here is that when we take ownership, the politics of a dog causes us to forgive and forget, to love in spite of, to be angry but move on, to punish and then to cherish. Now it seems that if our politics could be the same way with each other, then we could better forgive each other when we have our disagreements. Does it seem like building a loving, nonviolent community is possible if we treat others half as good as we treat our dogs? Seems that way to me. What do you think? Think about it. We can do this. You ask, how do we build our loving, nonviolent community? When we find the love, when we believe in hope, when we've chosen love over violence and overall progress over sticks and stones. This is how we succeed. The sacrifice needed to build our loving, nonviolent community lines up with the simple belief stated by Dr. King. The time is always right to do what is right. Thank you.
All right. Well, our second orator is Brooklyn Barnes. She is 6 years old in the first grade at Mansion Day School. So please put your hands together for Brooklyn Barnes.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brooklyn Barnes. I'm 6 years old in first grade at Mansion Day School, building a loving and nonviolent community. Dr. Martin Luther King showed us that we can build a loving and nonviolent community through teamwork, having strong leaders, and respecting those in our community. Dr. King got us to unite and understand the importance of teamwork. He organized marches, protested unfair treatment of black people, and shared his time and talent with us. At Mansion Day School, we've been learning teamwork and practicing it daily. We work together to clean up after we're finished playing or doing activities in our classroom. Teamwork is needed for a loving and nonviolent community. Dr. King showed us that one person can use leadership to change a community for the better. When my mommy asked me, who can tell others that violence is not the best way, I said, me. I am a leader, and we need strong leaders in the community to spread the message that the violence must stop. Leaders are needed for a loving and nonviolent community. Dr. King taught the importance of respect. Respect and violence are not friends. We must care for our friends, respect each other to make the violence go away. Respect is needed for a loving and nonviolent community. We cannot wait on someone else to make our community loving and nonviolent. We have to work as a team, make strong leaders, and respect each other. In the words of Dr. King, we must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools. Thank you.
Welcome as we celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Please welcome the Harmony Project.
Inside us, deny the demons that wait by our side. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, and all of you who are watching at home. Today's program is our dedication to Dr. King's legacy. Through history, many have taken his dream of equality to heart, but the reality of civil rights for all continues to be elusive. Yes, we're still working at it. We must rise up to nurture Dr. King's dream right here in Columbus. We must continue the work that was started so many years ago.
Today, we celebrate 20 years of coming together as one people in Columbus. We continue to be inspired by the works of individuals who have pressed on so that we too may do the same.
Today, we're going to share stories of remarkable individuals in Columbus who were activists, but from within their workplace. So this year, we're taking a different approach in telling our story.
Letters. It's a way of sharing our hopes and also our frustrations. Tonight, we will combine a little bit of creative license and the art of letter writing in sharing the dreams of some of these individuals.
During the program, we will have a panel that will discuss some of the issues highlighted in our letters.
Reverend HALE, he came from a dirt poor family, a little town called Greenwood, Mississippi. At an early age, he realized that if he was going to be successful, then he needed to get an education. After completing college in 1936, he became a minister. During that time, he formed a friendship with the King family. In 1950, he moved to Columbus to be a preacher at Union Grove Baptist Church.
In 1963, Reverend HALE was asked to speak at his Morehouse College class reunion. This speech was part of a collection of his letters. He never forgot his goals and where he came from.
September 27th, 1963. My fellow classmates, it is great to be back here at Morehouse for our class reunion. It is amazing how many years have passed since our graduation. Some of you may have known me as the kid with the iron press suit. Some thought I came from a well-to-do family. I did not. As a child born into sharecropping, my education began inside a plantation-owned school. Every grade was mixed in together. The only thing permitted was reading and writing. Standards were low and expectations for us were a minimum. The world only saw one path for a sharecropper child, the fields. One day, a traveling salesman told me, "Young man, there are people in Chicago who will pay you $5,000 a year." This resonated with me. An education, a true education, can carve a path for my future. I started taking steps down this new road. I went as far as I needed to continue past the 8th grade. Bit by bit, I was making my way. And there were tough times. Even as I finally got to Morehouse, trouble with my tuition forced me back. I worked in the cotton fields to pay off my debts. But please know, I did not get to where I am today alone. My teachers served as great mentors. My brother-in-law provided a home when needed, and he is still someone I can count on. And it's that support that encouraged me to continue on. I worked in a steel mill to buy that iron press suit you saw before. This suit became a symbol of me. I could be more than what my circumstances made me. For the last 13 years, I've taken residence in Ohio, serving God at Union Grove Baptist Church. Our humble place is currently celebrating its 75th anniversary. No, there is still a greater goal to work towards, a dream for all of our nation to live up to. But we will get there together. Standing here today, we are far more capable than we were before. Now, I have the power to help other struggling men and women. Lord knows where I will go from here or when my journey ends. As my friend Martin proclaimed in Washington, there is a dream for us to head towards. Sincerely, HALE, Pastor, Union Grove Baptist Church.
In 1966, Reverend Hale was elected to the Ohio House of Representatives. During his 14-year career in the House, he helped black men and women find job opportunities where they could grow and prosper. He helped Columbus have its first African-American bank teller, patrolman, and college professor. His passion included finding more affordable housing for lower-income families.
Columbus is fortunate to have heroes in our schools who share the real history of Columbus community with students. Nancy CLENDENEN, a recently retired teacher, created effective learning techniques that serve to energize and inform her students.
At Centennial High School, Nancy felt that simply reading about history wasn't enough for her students. In order for them to understand their role in the community, she put real faces on our vibrant Columbus history. When asked to share her remembrances in a letter, here's what she wrote.
August 6, 2012. Dear friends, I remember the chill in the air one winter's day. The forecast wasn't good. An older gentleman came through the school door knocking off the snow from his soles, and he rubbed his hands for warmth, and I handed him some hot cocoa, saying, "Take it easy. I mean, for goodness sake, he had just driven all this way in this terrible weather." He showed me a collection of photographs that he had brought along, and when I saw them, I knew we were in for a real treat. You see, my class had been working on the Near East Side Oral History Project, and after all of their research, I knew that they would be excited to meet him. The children gathered round as he began speaking about Mount Vernon Avenue. You know, he tells them a side to it, the way he knew it, the way his parents knew it. He mentioned the shopkeepers, the musicians, the entertainers who had all once lined the streets. Each photo accompanied a story of his, bringing out more and more rich detail. And at that moment, Mount Vernon truly came alive for the students, and the city's past was given on to the next generation. You see, our schools have become quite a diverse place. Our kids must be exposed to our community's rich background. These are the facts that will help them dream their own futures. This is how neighborhoods not only survive, but flourish. Sincerely, Nancy CLENDENEN.
Frank Hale Jr.'s goal was to bring more diversity to the Ohio State University's PhD program. The Frank W. Hale Jr. Black Cultural Center in Hale Hall on the Ohio State campus helps to open the university doors to women and minority students.
Because of Frank Hale, OSU became a leading producer of PhD minority students and also served as a model for all universities across the country during the 1970s and the 1980s. Frank shares his thought in an open letter to young African Americans in 2005.
June 2005. Dear searchers of knowledge, we have long since entered the 21st century, and my time serving the community is coming to a close. But when I'm gone, I hope the message my colleagues and I have been building towards is not forgotten. Never forget your potential. Often I heard the term endangered species. On the news, they list your predispositions: homicide, drug abuse, school dropouts, unemployment, poverty and incarceration, and much more. The weight of all this has seeped into the minds of our brothers and sisters. They don't believe that success can be theirs. Some have been so pressed by their circumstances that they fall despair and never see their own future. The word impossible does not exist for us. There are no insurmountable obstacles. There are just those who won't try. The only words of caution: the desire to create your own legacy is not enough. You will have to adapt like never before. Acquire those special skills that employers so desire. Expand the field of more technical areas like math and science, and show what you're capable of. Discipline will see you through. I have worked my entire life to make the graduate program more inclusive for men and women of color, while at the same time meeting the economic realities of education. Progress has been made, but you are needed to continue it. You are not endangered. You are expanding. Go forth. Be a thinker, a believer, a doer. Show the world how you seized the opportunity that awaits you. Don't let anyone turn you around. Frank W. Hale, Jr.
Because of Hale's efforts, graduate fellowship awards were given to more than 1,200 minority students.
Regardless of their product or their service, every business uses accounting. It is the oil that keeps a business running smoothly. As we speak of exciting fields to enter, accountability and accounting usually is not one of them, but according to Greta Russell, it should be.
Greta Russell champions sparking an interest and desire for young people to attend college and major in accounting. Greta would frequently speak to young people about the advantages of college and her personal passion for accounting. On one occasion, in a letter to high school juniors and seniors, she planted a few seeds.
May 15th, 2012. Dear soon-to-be graduates, my name is Greta Russell, and I've been an accountant for 40 years. One word, college. Another word, accounting. Now, I know that you've had a lot of people telling you to go to college and how important it is for you to get your education. Don't get me wrong, it is. But there's another reason, and that is to urge you to try your hardest. I urge you to choose college for yourself because that is how you do something for the communities you live in. Start now, push yourself, make something of yourself. Attend study sessions, strive to get that A. Ask for help. And when it comes time to decide, it doesn't matter what you go for as long as you have a real passion for it. And you're all young enough that you have plenty of time to figure that out. Whether it be business, biology, or accounting, you will be taking a position as an educated member within your community. And if you think you'll have trouble with funding, talk to the schools you apply to. I know that plenty of schools have a variety of funding opportunities, like grants to help you pay for some or all of your costs. But believe me, you still have to try. You still have to work to be eligible. You must have remarkable grades, and you have to have a clear goal. Now, education changes things. It changes how you think, how you succeed, and how you make dynamic changes for those around you. Please realize that there are so many of us that never carried a single sign in a protest, but were activists within our workplace for equality. There are many of us behind the scenes. Take Hugh Dorian, for example. Mr. Dorian has been city auditor for more than 40 years. During his time, he has been a constant and stable force for the mayor's office. and has been a supporter of Columbus's evolution. He has and continues to be someone who says, let's figure out the best way to make that happen. He is the oil that keeps this machine of a city running smoothly. Mr. Dorian is but one of many who work for positive change in our community. Regardless if you choose accounting or not, please go to college. College is an opportunity for advancement and betterment. Have a plan for your future and let your light shine so that others may see it. Regardless of where you go in life, consider my personal motto. We must lift as well as climb so that others may stand on our shoulders as giants. With hopes for your continued success. In accounting, Greta Russell.
Both Greta and Frank believe that diversity in the workplace and a quality education was the key to create a change in our communities. Through their hard work, they helped us see beyond ourselves. Let me take a moment now to introduce our panel. Our guest, Ann Boston Walker. Our moderator, Toni TEAGUE.
Well, hello, Miss Walker. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
It is an honor to be here with you and to be here with this audience. You know, you've done some amazing things and you've been a trailblazer in our community, and we thank you for that. So there's a couple of questions that are on people's minds. So here with some questions from some of the people, especially the young people. Let's just get started. Okay, so you were around during the Civil Rights Movement. In fact, you were a grown-up during that time, right?
Yes.
So what were your thoughts and feelings about the Civil Rights Movement at that time?
Well, I was very active in the Fellowship of Reconciliation, which was a milder form, I guess, of CORE. I was very involved with organizations that were doing things for other people, trying to improve the quality of life for them.
That's awesome. How did you keep your head up? There were some times when you probably had to endure.
Well, it wasn't easy.
Well, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right?
But, you know, I was raised in a family of males. I had 5 brothers. My mother died when I was quite young. So my father raised me as he raised the boys. You know, you hold your head high, a firm handshake, you look a man straight in the eye, your word is your bond. And so I had that, that persona. And then when there was a question about a position that I took, I was able to defend that. Education was very important in our family, so I was an excellent student. I spoke well. So I was able to, you know, it wasn't until I went to Texas and I went south that it really hit me, the impact of segregation. But I was able to weather that too.
You were able to weather a lot, and we're glad that you did. Now, let's take you to today, the Ann Walker who just recently celebrated her 90th birthday. Can you imagine that? Give her a big hand. 90 and still lovely. So let's imagine Ann Boston Walker of 2014 writing a letter back to Ann Walker at age 18. Looking back, what advice would you give that Ann Walker?
I certainly would say that you have to know who you are. You have to have confidence in what you're able to do. You have to have a high self-esteem. And you can't let other people dictate to you. I would also say that they need to set goals. I would say that you need to be aware of the community around you. It's constantly changing, and you need to be aware of that. You need to know that we somehow have to develop programs that meet the needs of housing and employment and education. Those were important back in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, 80s, and definitely they are important today.
Yeah, does everybody get that message? Wow. So, there's another sidebar question. There are lots of young people looking for ways to get involved. And sometimes, especially because people are living so much longer and, you retire and the leaders are staying around longer because they're still of great value and great use. What would you say to young people who have been told, it's not your turn, you should wait your turn?
Oh, there's no such thing as it's not your turn. There's no such thing. I just told a young friend in Cincinnati the other day that there's so much that you can do. Just stop and think. What is it that you like to do? Working directly with people, working for people. I don't believe in that. I think that if I'm doing something, and you, Toni, want to do it too, I'm going to extend my hand and say, join me. And it has nothing to do with age or time,
Absolutely.
It has to do with motivation.
Thank you for those encouraging words. Now, I'm going to piggyback on that again and say, so what do you tell people to tell the other people if somebody says, okay, Toni, wait your turn, and they're not as gracious as you are? If they're not as gracious as you are, what am I supposed to say?
Toni, if this is what you want to do, do it.
All right. You hear that, audience?
Really, if this is what you want to do, do it.
Do it. Just go. Don't wait. You've got so many wonderful lessons and so much to teach people. What's the most important lesson that you've learned that you'd like to be able to pass down to our youth? We've got an audience full of them, and they want some advice from you.
Well, I think that your integrity is so important. I think that only you can determine the kind of person you really are. I think that it's wrong when you let other people dictate to you who you should be, how you should act, you see. Mm-hmm. And even in this day and time, I think it's so important to be concerned about others, to be motivated to do something, to recognize that one person can make a change. And if you're willing to make that commitment, then a change will occur.
You were at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast this morning, and you had a chance to hear the Honorable Yvette McKee Brown speak. And in her message, she talked so much about being free to make your own choices and being educated as well. And you were also saying, don't be a slave don't be a slave to your mind. Do what you need to do. What do you want to tell these young people about freedom?
Yvette is a good example of what can be done. And she freely talks about a mother who worked 2 jobs to take care of 3 children, who saw to it that they were educated, who saw to it that they were able to set goals, to have vision, and then to develop a plan to work toward those goals. That's important.
So it doesn't matter if you have 1 parent or 2, if you're being raised by your grandparent or anyone else.
We all have to learn how to survive in the families that we're born into. Because I can tell you, having 5 brothers, there were times when I sure wished I was in another family. But somehow I survived.
We're glad you did. Well, thank you so much for imparting your words of wisdom on us. You are wonderful, you're beautiful, and we thank you for everything you've done to blaze the trail for us.
Well, I feel privileged to be a part of this program. I think it's very important for us to know our history, and it's important for us to help build history for those who come after us.
Amen. Let's give her a hand.
Oftentimes we see people in dynamic positions and we have no idea how they got there or what challenges they may have overcome. 2 great examples of this are Wanda Dillard and Dick Maxwell.
Wanda currently serves as the Executive Director of Community Development at the Wexner Medical Center of The Ohio State University. She, like so many others, came from humble beginnings and faced many challenges. In an open letter to young females, Wanda shares a bit about her past and her guideposts to success for young women.
Monday, January 20th, 2013. Dear ladies, Columbus is my home and heart, but I'm not originally from here. You see, I was born in a small coal mining town named Bluefield, Virginia. It was the kind of town where, as a young black girl in the 60s, I was made to move off the sidewalk just to make room for whites who were walking by. But it was the kind of town where the mining company owned everything and my family owned nothing. We only used the company script for money. I was lucky, though, in the sense that when part of my family moved to Columbus, I was one of the first black students to be integrated into Eastwood Elementary. Later at South High School, I participated in a student nonviolent walkout so that we could be the first class to celebrate Black History Month in 1971. In 1973, I joined the Ohio National Guard as a way to pay for my college education and save my family the expense. While in the Guard, I commanded the 684th Medical Unit in Westerville. I was the first black female commanding officer in the state of Ohio. Today, as an administrator at OSU, I've been able to partner with local organizations to create 3 different free clinics for Asians, Latinos, and Muslims. But enough about me. Ladies, let's talk about diversity. Women of color have specific challenges. Diversity in itself can only work for you if you embrace your part in creating diversity. Ladies, there were so many times when I didn't know if my struggle was really worth it. So many times where I had to seize opportunities while others were just being handed them. When I felt broken down, I had to break through for my family, for my parents, for my son. And I have. I have broken through not only the glass ceiling, but I've broken through the black ceiling. I could have hardened my heart through it all, but I didn't. Be the kind of woman that opens her heart to all people, because that's diversity in action. That's change. Diversity is not just talk. You have to walk and breathe diversity. And ladies, it's about recognizing your role and defining that for dynamic results. It's about what you bring to the table. It's about getting an education so that when opportunities come to you, you can seize them. That's when diversity means something. Each one of us are agents for change. Go out and seize those opportunities, ladies. Get an education. Get your kids an education so that they can live, be, and feel that change within themselves. That change starts in your family. That change starts in your community. That change starts with you. You are the change. With warmest hopes to each of you, Wanda Dillard.
Another of Columbus's champions for diversity and success and access was Dick Maxwell. While a student at OSU, Dick was going for a touchdown when, in a freak accident, he became paralyzed from the neck down. After several years in rehabilitation at Dodd Hall, Dick continued his education and received his business degree in 1969.
In 1974, Dick worked with 5 other community members to found Creative Living. It's a nonprofit organization committed to addressing housing needs of the severely disabled and promoting their independence. Dick and his Dodd Hall rehab roommate, Jack Darkay, were featured in a 1968 Columbus Dispatch article entitled "Quadriplegics Stymied by Lack of Home."
It was September 1974, and Dick Maxwell, after finding housing for a young quadriplegic, recommended his former Dodd Hall roommate and wanted to share his accomplishments with him.
Dear Jack, I hope you will bear with the suddenness of this letter. Today I was in my office, ready to greet a new resident, when I was struck how things have came full circle. All that I've done so far in my career began with the commitment while recovering at Dodd. I had to create an impact on the lives of others in our position. We both had our challenges during recovery, and we gave each other support during those dark times. A new resident here at Creative Living reminded me of how things have changed since our time at Dodd. I've started something, Jack. Me and a handful of others. It's a nonprofit that would change the way things are and hopefully address those with a disability. We just opened up 18 new apartments And boy, are they filling out fast. Every day now, I'm meeting a new resident, and I'm learning more about the growing needs of our service. This week, I met Carol Sue Cyrus. She spent 17 years at her parents' home after becoming quadriplegic. That accident was over a half her lifetime ago, and I couldn't help but feel that she was letting so much of her potential go to waste. We spoke of her past challenges to gain back some independence. After our talk, Carol and her parents agreed to come over and give everything a try. It may seem like I'm pushing, but that's only because I know what's it like to doubt yourself. Despair embeds itself within you. I've been there. You've been there. We can hide it as much as we want, pretend to our loved ones that everything is okay, but those feelings are raw and real. Our future may have been taken away, but they also can change. That's what I aim to prove with my work. My one regret is that there was no place available when you got back to school, Jack. I just can't picture someone like you in that nursing home at that time. Just a few small modifications, like a ramp, would have meant the world to us after our accident. I hope to continue to make a difference, Jack. I admit, there's a certain glee I get when I see a new resident go about their daily business. I never imagined this is what I wanted to get out of life. All my best in all that you do, Jack. Your friend, Dick Maxwell.
In 1963, the world was not equipped for an active quadriplegic. So Dick Maxwell lived most of the next 10 years of his life with his injury at OSU's Dodd Hall. When he returned to school, his fraternity brothers made campus accessible by lifting Dick in his chair up over curves and up the steps so he could attend his classes at OSU.
Jack Darkay earned his college degree while studying and staying at a nursing home. A student transported him to and from classes using a portable wheelchair. He and Dick Maxwell continued their friendship.
The only girl in a family of 5 brothers. She began in journalism as an editorial writer with the Ohio Sentinel in 1949. Later, in 1962, she moved into broadcasting as on-air women's director and assistant news director at WVKO Radio. In 1968, she joined the staff of channel WLWC TV4. That's where she worked as the first Columbus woman in broadcast management. As community services director, she produced many documentaries.
This is a woman of so many firsts. Ann Boston Walker is reflecting on her 90th birthday celebration that was recently held at Bethany Presbyterian Church in 2013.
Dear friends, as I came up the stairs of Bethany with my cherished cane that Sunday morning, I noticed that a lot of the older attendees were already seated in the pews. Some made a point to say hello or offer a friendly embrace. Many of my friends and family even came. You know, one lady drove all the way from Cleveland just to attend. What a time we had, and I was humbled. I found it quite heartwarming, especially since my daughter was serving as reverend as I celebrated my 90th birthday. As I sat and watched the service, I thought about the course that my life had taken in this city. When I had returned to Columbus in the 50s, I encountered so many difficulties. I was denied entry into the house I was buying because I wasn't the proper color. Even finding work adequate enough to feed my 4 children proved difficult. Few schools at the time were even offering a degree in broadcasting, and I didn't get into the door until the late 60s. There was little confidence in women in those days, let alone minority women. I was challenged all the time about my abilities, even by other African Americans. Often, I was paid a compliment by being told I was the only one of my kind who could interview intelligently. Despite it all, though, I learned the details of my industry, and I put programming on a budget far less than what's even being used today. I included more diversity in the programs and as a result brought attention to many of Columbus's African American talent. I sat down and interviewed the likes of Malcolm X, MLK, Lyndon Johnson, and rode with Jack Hanna in the jungles of Africa. I set up internships at Channel 4 in the hopes of making just a little easier for the men and women who came after me. Now, as I lean on my cherished cane listening to the children being taught Bible lessons, I found all that I did very exciting and enjoyable. But that time is over for me now. To tell you the truth, I'm tired of being the first black woman in my field. A lot of opportunities available to you women weren't even around for me back then. But that is the responsibility I accepted, I guess. And I am proud that some of my first opened doors for blacks and whites alike here in Columbus. With continued hope in each of you to make your mark on this world. Ann Walker.
You know, there are times where a written letter just doesn't convey what can actually be done in a phone call.
Let's listen in to a 1991 conversation between Dr. Barbara Nicholson, an educator and entrepreneur, and former City Council President Jerry Hammond.
Ring, ring.
Hello, Barb.
Afternoon, Jerry.
Take the position, Barb.
I beg your pardon?
I said you need to take the position, Barb.
Listen, you can't force me to do this, Jerry. I already told you and the search committee that I wasn't interested in the thing. I don't even know how to run the thing.
I'm not interested in what you think you can do. The fact of the matter is, you're doing it. You're going to run the King Arts Complex. It can only be you.
Excuse me? See, this isn't OSU where you and Jimmy Roseborough could just tell me what to do and I'd do it. I'm a grown woman now. I've lived 8 different lives doing things I never imagined I'd be doing, professions I never dreamed I'd be in. And I've been in Washington for years. And now that I'm back in Columbus for a while, I just want to settle down and run my own clothing store. You remember back in the day how I used to talk to you about that all the time in school, Jerry?
Do you remember what I was doing then, Barb? Remember how long it took me to graduate?
Well, you were always running back and forth after those kids, you know. You never had time for school. It was like
I put them before myself.
Yes, and I have always admired that about you. But I don't see what that has to do with me.
But do you think I wanted to do that?
Be mentoring those young kids instead of being in school?
Right.
Well, of course you did, didn't you?
Not every moment. No, I did not. But Barb, I had an obligation. And then I had to make a commitment to reach out to God. Jimmy Roseborough taught me that if you're talented, you have an obligation to reach out for the good of the community. You have to put them first.
Jerry, I'm not doing it.
Barb, the old guard is on his way out. Jimmy's done a lot, and I like to think I have too. But we need new people, new faces to take up the helm and stir this boat. If there's no one there to remind the next generation, if there's no one there to lead by example, then how will they know they can make a difference? Do you remember how much we pushed you in school?
Yes, you made me believe that I could do anything I set my mind to.
And it's people like you that need to show these kids that they can do it too. Make that your reason for getting out of bed. So just run the King Arts Complex, damn it.
Woo. But wait a minute, I don't even know how to manage people like that.
Stay out of their way. You said yourself that if you live 8 lives, you bring ideas and resources to the table. Those people are just as passionate as you. Those are the kind of people that would stay in the office overnight to get the project done. Together, you will make those ideas a reality. Lead as a peer, not as a manager.
Oh, Jerry, let's be real. You can't even afford me.
We'll see about that. Just for 3 years. Run it for 3 years and we'll find someone else.
3 years.
3 years.
Okay, Jerry, you've got yourself a new executive director.
I knew you would come along.
I don't think I had a choice in the matter.
You didn't. But that's only because Columbus needs its best to stand up. I can't really apologize for pulling you out of your chair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. You'll be great at it. Have a blessed day.
Really, Jerry? You too. Thank you.
Dr. Nicholson went on to run the King Arts Complex for 18 years. She has since retired, but she continues to be a driving force in the community. Ann Walker, still very involved in the food ministry that she began at her church, Bethany Presbyterian, almost 10 years ago.
Both of these women embraced Dr. King's invitation to make change in our community. Whether it was being the first or changing their careers, they realized that they had gifts to share. They honed their skills and empowered hundreds of people to join them in making Columbus what it is today.
You know, I was growing up, we would write letters or share news with our friends and our family, but things are quite different today. Social media is used by students to share their thoughts, their hopes, and their dreams, especially in just seconds.
Yeah, that is so true. Sometimes we do it too. They have the skill to effortlessly broadcast it to hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals. Such is the case of Jackson, a sophomore. His class has just finished a week learning about the accomplishments of Dr. King. Something has clicked inside of Jackson, and he has to share his news with his friends.
His courage, his voice, his legacy, these are the lasting impressions that one man instilled in people from every corner of the globe. Every race, every sector, every part of mankind could not help but listen to this influential father of four from Atlanta, Georgia. His strength and the strength of those around him created and guided his fight for human rights for all at a time when that wasn't accepted by all. His strength became their strength. His strength propelled the movement in 1960.
His scope, presence, and purpose were amazing. But for me, finding this purpose can be challenging. Sometimes I feel people have no hope. Sometimes the purpose is not clear.
This man experienced moments of extreme doubt, not necessarily about the depth of his cause, but if people will rise and be a part of it. This man pushed through all of his insecurities, though he found peace in himself through his ideals and beliefs as a person, and this served as the foundation and charisma and vitality as a leader.
It was his strength that carried him and his followers through the roughest of times in our history. With each word, he always inspired.
Our fight still exists today, but it has evolved. Even though the strength of this man is hard to master, we must rise and face the demands that are surrounding us.
My challenge is great. I know that my battles will not be on the same scale of this man's struggle and dedication, but my strength and ability can be tempered like a blade of a sword if I fight today's injustice that challenged me.
We must look to the leaders of history, our teachers, even my own heart, to continue the mission and purpose of this great man. We must continue his courage, his voice, his legacy, our legacy. I am now the change maker and caretaker of the gift of courage. Happy birthday, Dr. King, and thank you for the gift you've given us. Later.
They say everything
incredible? My new favorite, the Harmony Project.
There is someone who brings us together as a community and has a dynamic vision for the city of Columbus. He works tirelessly for us, creating this beautiful city, Columbus. Please welcome Mayor Michael B. Coleman.
Happy birthday, Columbus. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Aren't they magnificent? They're beautiful. They were absolutely terrific. Thank you very much for your co-hosting. You did a marvelous job, and the music was outstanding. And down here as well, just beautiful. You know, this is the 20th remembrance of the life and the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I don't miss this ever. I come here every year, but I did miss two. I did. The first time I missed was on the inauguration of President Barack Obama. I did say I missed two. The last time I missed this great event was upon the re-inauguration of President Barack Obama. It's indeed a pleasure to be here with you again to celebrate this great day in our community, a time when we all come together. Every part of this city. We're one city, and we're only as strong as the weakest of us. And so as we leave here today, we must lift up all those people that need our help. That's what Dr. King would do today. And so we have our Franklin County commissioners have been a partner with me over the past several years. And I'd like to bring out Commissioner Paula Brooks. Come on out, Paula. Help us out.
Thank you. Don't we have the best mayor in the United States of America? And it's our pleasure as county commissioners to sponsor this event every year. I think this is my 10th year, Mayor. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And it's always so fun, but it's also so humbling to hear Mrs. Walker tonight, 90 years young. Let's give her another round of applause. And knowing our dear Jerry Hammond and so many of the others that were mentioned tonight, and some who are out in the audience, like Wanda Dillard. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you for your service, Miss Dillard. And this great choir today, we're so proud of you. Yay! Great job. Great to see you. So tonight, we ask everyone to realize that we're all Franklin County, we're all Ohio, we're all Americans, and let's do what the mayor said. Let's lift everybody up. Just as Greta Russell said, our shoulders, your shoulders, all of our shoulders have to support the giants that do the work in our community. Each one of us has a part. God bless you. Thank you for letting us join you tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we heard some great stories here today. True stories. Real stories of real people who helped lift all of us, to help pave the way. And I knew and know many of the people that were talked about this evening. You know, I knew Jerry Hammond, and I knew all those folks that helped pave the way, and we stand on their shoulders. You know, I've been here for 15 years now as your mayor, and I've loved every bit of it. But I want you to know, not a moment of that could have or would have been possible without those before us to help pave that way and to be the pioneer and the Blaze Pathfinders that they have been. So I want to thank again the Harmony Project Choir. They're absolutely magnificent. I'd like to thank our wonderful actors and narrators, panelists, and volunteers who've given their time and talent. These two young folks over here, right over here, that were reading the letters, oh my goodness. Oscar, the Golden Globe. That's what I'm looking for coming out of Columbus. And let's have the actors and the narrators to come on stage. Come on, everybody, come on. It's all right. This is what you do. Aren't they great? All of them. Then I want the writers to come out. You can't, oh, the writers, come on over here. Come on, you come on this side. The writers. You can't do anything without the writers. You're the best actors in the world, which we have, these three. But if the words aren't right, it doesn't happen. So I'd like to have TJ Armstrong and Juan Gonsalves come on up. Out. Did I pronounce it right? Oh, you are. Okay. You are the ones. Okay. All right. Now, happy birthday, Columbus. We're going to come out and going to come together. We're going to sing our song. Have the entire cast and crew come out. Come on out, Tanisha. Come on. We're going to sing happy birthday. Come on, darling.
I'm gonna need your help in a little bit. This is a celebration. It's a birthday party. Oh, yeah. You know, it doesn't make much sense. There ought to be a law against anyone who takes offense at a day in your celebration, cause we all know in our minds that there ought to be a time that we can set aside to show just how much we love you, and we all know everything that a stupid time will bring. So in peace our hearts will sing. Martin Luther King, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yeah. Happy birthday. I just never understood how a man who died for good would not have a day that would be sad. Aside for its recognition, because it should never be just because some cannot see the dream as clear as here, but they will make it become an illusion. We'll let it all begin. We know that love can win. Let it out, don't hold it in. As loud as you can. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Why has it never been a holiday where peace is celebrated all throughout the world? Oh, it should be a great event. Hey, and the whole day should be spent in full remembrance for those who lived and died, for the oneness of our people. But do for people like me and you who know the way to truth, for those who lived and it all begin. When we know that love can win. Let it out, don't hold it in. Sing as loud as you can. Oh yeah. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Come on, happy birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Bring it down. Happy birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Let's bring it up. Bring it up. Happy birthday. Celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. That's beautiful, y'all.